What's going on, people? Whether it was intentional or not, thanks for stopping by and listening to what we like to call For What It's Worth. My name is Chris, and with me, as always, is Mike. Coming at you today, March 17th, good old St. Patrick's Day, to talk about the Jets and their busy start to this 2015 offseason. But before we start, Mike, again, happy St. Patrick's Day. How you feeling, dude?
Happy St. Patrick's Day to you as well, brother. You had a little trip to DC this past weekend. How's everything going on your end?
Good, man. Yeah, much needed, much appreciated. Friday and Monday off. So me and the girlfriend took off on Friday, drove down 95, hit a Cracker Barrel on the way down, getting ready for Miami.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw the Instagram. Everything looked pretty healthy.
yeah, just the complete opposite of what I should be eating. But yeah, man, I mean, that was the first time I've ever been there, and there's just a lot to see there, obviously, as you know. And do you hear this? Do you hear what I have to deal with every single time we podcast?
Yeah. What I mean is it? Does she want to get on the show? Like what?
Dude, it's so like she knows because we could be sitting here watching TV and she won't bother me, but she knows I'm trying to get famous right now. That's what's going on.
Yeah, she wants some of your notoriety, I guess.
She wants to get some of the uniques. What do you want? I can't do anything for you right now. All right, anyway, so, but yeah, trip was good. Like I said, first time down there, good food, a lot of great memorials, everything like that. Although my report cards didn't really show it, I definitely am a history buff. Definitely my favorite subject in school growing up, and just to see some of those things like in person and not, on the internet or whatever was just really, really great, to see in person.
For sure, dude. Last time I was down there was in eighth grade, and like you just don't like appreciate like the history of the country, and you're too busy like goofing off with your friends, whatever. Like I would definitely like to head down there at some point and just like do what you did, stop at all the memorials, see it, and I don't know, definitely just have a different take on it as an adult. So
Yeah, I mean, and we can move on after this, but two highlights of mine were definitely like I loved Abraham Lincoln. I think I posted this in one of my pictures that I just think my opinion he's one of the best presidents this country's ever seen. So seeing that memorial, like even though it's just him sitting in a chair, I don't know, it was like just the fact that it was like so huge and like I don't know, it was just so cool to see in person. And then the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Arlington Cemetery was really like not to get like corny or whatever, but just very breathtaking and like just seeing the soldier just march back and forth and just be so disciplined. Like I give those guys so much credit because there's no way in hell I would be able to to essentially be in the military. My brother is trying his best to get into the officer. Well, he is in the officer program, but to become a Marine officer, and I give him a lot of credit because that stuff is definitely tests your mental well-being for sure.
yeah, and as I got off the path today, like my shin and like ankle started to hurt just from walking, and I was like, really got to get back to the gym, and like now that it's like warm enough out and you're not like walking in sub-zero temperatures, like it's about time to hit the gym. So
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not gonna. I mean, we could cling on to each other for motivation a little bit, but it's not going to be the same. Going to the gym in the morning, go straight to work. It's definitely going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So we'll have to motivate each other through text or something, or through these podcasts. So, but yeah,
yeah,
like
well, maybe we should stop doing these podcasts and maybe go to the gym. That
probably a good idea. I mean, nobody's listening, so it's just essentially us talking to ourselves. But no, man, yeah, like I couldn't be any happier about the weather. Seems to be, on the steady rise. I know we're supposed to be messing with a little bit of snow at the end of this week, but I don't think it's supposed to be a lot. But a lot of things to be excited about. Tournament is coming up for March Madness. Like you said, the weather. And speaking of March Madness, my alma mater, Albany, getting the bid to the tournament on that. My God, man, like you have to watch the replays and read up on the story of Peter Hooley. It's just like just one of those like great emotional sports stories. The kid lost his mom to colon cancer a couple months ago, and he comes back after spending some time in his homeland in Australia, comes back, ends up hitting this shot, sends a team to the NCAA tournament. I mean, it really doesn't get any better than that. Obviously sports are a big part of our lives, I should say, but I mean, when you start dealing with like raw emotion like that, nothing is better than that.
For sure. No, I saw the replay, and like I wasn't paying close attention, but when you brought it up to me today, like did a little research of my own and was like, wow, it's pretty awesome what that kid was able to do, and like just everything that he's gone through. It's just a really feel good story for sure.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And the Danes take on the Oklahoma Sooners on Friday, I think at 7:30 at night, which I'm so psyched about because the last 2 years they've been in the tournament as well. They got knocked out by Duke 2 years ago and Florida last year, but I had to like take half days or like take extended lunches and rush to go to a bar or whatever. This way, if I want to go to a bar after work and watch the game, then I do that. If not, I just come home and watch it in peace and quiet in my apartment. But super psyched about that. So,
Yeah,
but
my Mountaineers are staring down a Kentucky showdown in the Sweet 16.
it could happen.
So I don't know. Hopefully they get there. I mean, I'm probably gonna jinx it right now, but as you know, they're undefeated, so that would be pretty cool just to watch them play against arguably like one of the best teams of all time, even if they don't win the whole thing. Just to be able to go 33-0 as college kids, it's pretty remarkable.
College kids that could probably beat the New York Knicks starting lineup right now. I know that joke's been used a billion times, but I'm almost certain that could probably happen, with a Carmelo-less Knick lineup, the guys that they're trotting out there on a day in, day out basis.
Right.
So, but yeah, so, and with all that being said, did the Jets do anything last week or what?
They did quite a bit of shopping. I think it was $150 million that Mike McCagnon, I still don't know the correct pronunciation of his
I think it's McCagnon, yeah.
But they definitely revamped this team, and we're going to get into it throughout the show, but it's a completely different team, and it has us super, super excited for the start of this season. Like, I couldn't have envisioned a better free agency period, and we still have the draft to look forward to. Headlined by Darrelle Revis, and then reuniting him with his Robin and Antonio Cromartie, and then they signed a few other guys as well, which is really going to help that secondary out. So big salute to Mikey Mack and Todd Bowles, as well as Woody Johnson. I think I can speak for the entire fan base that it's looking pretty optimistic at this point.
Yeah, so suffice it to say, you were pretty optimistic, and so was I. It was funny because we were sitting around waiting during the legal tampering period, and just seeing all these. I'm just laughing because of like thinking of all the texts that we exchanged. Just seeing all these names fly off the board: Sue to the Dolphins, Maxwell to the Eagle. Everybody just going off the board, and we're like, all right, cool, like. Although it hasn't officially started, we're not doing anything yet.
Right. And we headlined the Friday before, though, because we re-signed David Harris and then made the big splash with Brandon Marshall. So we were like, all right, it's going to be, a Jets-dominated free agency period. But then it was crickets for a while, and we started to get a little scared of, none of these guys potentially landing in New York.
Yeah, it was definitely a very nervous period of time, because you don't want to hop on these guys for, like not throwing all these money, these monies at these guys, whatever. But, this is a team that needed a lot of help, and they got it. They certainly got it, especially in that secondary position. Revis, Cromartie, Buster Screen, Marcus Gilchrist from San Diego in the safety position. I mean, like they literally, it's going to be a complete. I mean, a lot of these guys we've seen in green before, but it's just going to be completely different to what we had over the last 2 to 3 years. And I mean, arguably, it's the best secondary in all of football. Would you agree with that? I mean, at least on paper.
Yeah, no, on paper it's definitely looks very, very good. Definitely like a top 3, top 5 defense. With that said, the fact that Antonio Cromartie is 31, Revis is going to be turning 30, along with David Harris. Some of these guys are getting up there in age. So my only concern is the big money that we paid. Is it going to have a good ROI in terms of like their durability and down the stretch, can they play a full 16 game schedule, and are we going to be playing football in January?
Right. And I mean, that's the question that is going to need an answer in another what are we in March right now, in another 9 months or so we'll figure out if these moves are intended for this season or not. I mean, regardless, I still think that the moves that they made so far in the offseason are going to be good for the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 years, definitely, depending on the health of everybody, obviously. But, I mean, don't forget, we got the guys like McDougal and Milner on the bench that can learn from, Revis and Cromartie. And then
Right.
Buster Skrine is only, I think, 25 years old. Gilchrist is only 26 years old. So there is a lot of youth in what they picked up, in addition to signing those veterans that you'd like to keep around, like the Harrises, and bringing back Cromartie and bringing back Revis. I mean, like I said, health issues aside, these guys could definitely still have a B to A effort for this team, and even be Pro Bowlers. I think. I mean, Revis obviously more so than Cromartie, but you never know. I mean, Cromartie has great playmaking ability and everything like that. So, but I mean, yeah, I was super shocked at like all the spending that transpired over like those 48 hours or whatever it was. Like, it was just every like 2 hours it was somebody new they were signing, and
Yep.
man, like them getting Revis back was like the best feeling ever. I didn't really even want him back at first. I would have rathered one of the younger corners, but we were left with that at the end, and I was just like, you know what, just go all in. Just, he's going to be better than almost everybody that you could possibly get at this point anyway. So just go all in. You have the money, you have to spend it. And, like I said, it was like one of the best feelings seeing that, read across the ticker at the bottom of the screen.
100%, and it happened late in the day too. So like I was actually like about to like lay down, go to sleep, and then like just heard my phone vibrating. I was like, all right, this could be something. And obviously it was Darrelle Revis. So, he's going to have a significant impact on this team. And, it definitely just brings a new culture of winning back to the Jets because, let's face it, the past 2 years have been really difficult to watch. And, the last time we went deep into the playoffs was with Revis and Cromartie. So I'm just hoping they could return to, the form that they showcased with us a few years ago, and hopefully lead us deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean the types of acquisitions, like I said, especially addressing the secondary, we need that in Bowles' style of defense where he's going to be sending the house often, throughout the game. So, at first I was like, Jesus, like they have like probably 7, 8, 9, cornerbacks or whatever that could all be like big factors. And I mean, they're going to play a lot. Like, you could have Cromartie and Revis on the outside on both ends, and then have, maybe Skrine and D as like the nickels or whatever.
Yep.
They're going to be able to change things up a lot. And then, I don't even want to think about this, but, we talked about it a little with, if guys can stay healthy, blah, blah, blah. They play a very physical sport. In all likelihood, somebody's going to go down. Let's just hope it's not as serious. And somebody's going to have to step up, next man up kind of thing. So it'll be good to have that kind of depth.
Yeah, no, for sure. You definitely make a good point there. And I actually read some rumors though. There might be like an odd guy out, in terms of like what we could get back. Like D. Milner possibly getting shopped, Calvin Pryor getting shopped because Gilchrist is like a similar strong safety type build. So although we have all those guys on the roster right now, I would expect possibly them to make a move just to free up some other roster spots.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm super excited and happy about the moves that they made, on that defensive end. I mean, we needed it badly, but those moves weren't the only ones that were made. I mean, 2 weeks ago on that, I think it was Friday, McCagnon brought in Brandon Marshall for the 5th-round pick, which was an absolute steal. And then as soon as free agency started, they made a trade with the Texans, which seems to be a 7th-round pick to bring in Ryan Beardman Fitzpatrick. How do you feel about bringing in Fitzy to Gangrene?
I have really no idea. I didn't even know Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing football anymore. No, I'm joking. I did know he was playing football. But like we talked about on a couple shows before, it's just like the QB market for free agency was, tough. Like I think the Jets wanted Hoyer probably over Fitzpatrick, but the fact that he comes in with history with Chan Gailey, he's not the type of guy that's going to win you games, and he's also the type of guy that's not going to lose you games either. He's just that, game manager that we need as opposed to Geno Smith, who, completes more passes to the opposing defense. As well as just having a veteran presence. So I'm not like ecstatic that we got Ryan Fitzpatrick, but it's good that he's going to have a big target in Brandon Marshall as well as Eric Decker, and then the fact that we locked up Bilal Powell and Ivory's coming off a strong season as well. So I think it's a good stopgap, and then who knows what direction Mikey Mack wants to go in the draft, and maybe adding another rookie to come in and compete and learn under him.
Well, yeah, definitely made some improvements on the offensive end. Like, I definitely agree with a lot of the points you just listed. Is Fitzpatrick like a Super Bowl caliber quarterback on like a mediocre roster? Like, probably not. But I mean, like I said, this team made drastic changes, and their defense is going to be very good, very reminiscent of the 2009-2010 Jets. Like,
right.
Exactly. Like. Young Sanchez didn't play really that great. You look at his statistics his rookie year, I think he only had 12 TDs in the regular season and like 20 picks or something like that, and they still made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. So, you get a guy that obviously has, that veteran composure and presence, and, he's kind of like a gunslinger, like, we alluded to, but he's a little bit more, poised in the pocket. And, he has these weapons that he's never really had before. Like, last year he was with Andre Johnson and, a couple other guys down there in Houston. But, to the likes of Marshall, Decker, Curley, Amaro, a decent, solid running game, he might not be that bad. I mean, I still definitely want to give Geno a shot. But, if he struggles in the slightest, you yank that cord, you yank it hard, and you throw in Fitzpatrick, and you try to save your season before it's already over, which is what happened last year. I'm not saying Vic would have, won the Jets 8 games in a row, because even when he did come in, he didn't do that. But, you have to try to salvage what you have before, it's gone.
Hashtag Fitzmagic.
Dude, he's like my twin, man. I just got to grow out I'll just start growing my beard now, and then maybe get a Fitzpatrick 14 jersey for the fall.
I was actually walking around the city today, and I saw a Jets 4 jersey from like a pretty far distance away, and the guy was coming like at me as I was like walking up Fifth Avenue, and I was like, oh, Brett Favre jersey, Glenn Foley on the back, and I was like, only in New York City St. Patrick's Day am I going to see a Glenn Foley Jets jersey.
I knew you were going to go there, like, because it seemed like it was too obvious, almost like, oh yeah, Favre, number 4, but no, I had a feeling you were going to go there. I think my buddy has one of those. Oh, a brutal injury.
Anyways, yeah, no, I think you made a lot of good points. Fitzpatrick, he hasn't had, a ton of weapons. He did have pretty good years in Buffalo too with Shangali, so he has that familiarity with an offensive coordinator. So I think if we're like to call an opening day starter right now, we have to say he has a slight edge just based on his knowledge of the system.
I think so. I really do. And the fact that this organization has essentially no ties to Geno anymore. I mean, there might be a couple of guys that like him because I saw like on Twitter going back, Jay Samaro backed him up. I think the day that they signed Fitzpatrick or traded for him, and Amaro was just like, "Yo, Geno's like good. He tries hard and whatever. Stop knocking our QB or whatever." So I mean, there's definitely guys that side with Geno and want to see him do well, myself included. But I mean, like I said, the moment that he does something bad, like, I mean, I'm not saying he throws one interception because that's absolutely going to happen. But if you start to see that he's playing like a curled up cat in a corner, like then you got to take him out. But
that's the problem. I mean, is he was like anointed by Idzik out of college and like really had like this like staged competition, against Sanchez, and then even last year Vic was like subservient and didn't even like he accepted the number 2 role. So like you said, Bowles, McCanon, I think like you said before in the opener, is that it's a win now mentality. So we don't have a September and October to experiment with Geno and be like, did he finally figure it out? Like if Ryan Fitzpatrick's the better option and he's gonna put us in position to win more games, then you have to start him.
Yeah, 100%. I do. Like you had brought up, right now he has to have the slight edge, and I think that's entirely accurate. But before we move on to the Jets holding on to a couple of their own, definitely wanted to spend a little bit more time on Brandon Marshall. I can't even remember one of our more recent podcasts because it's been like a week and a half or whatever, and a lot's transpired. But definitely want to spend a couple seconds on him. I just want to hear from you, like, as far as how effective he can be, especially having that security blanket in Decker on the other side, which, birthday shout out, I think yesterday was his 28th birthday. So
what'd you get him?
I got him 1-800-PRO flowers.
Oh, God.
Personalized message sent over to his Nashville home, I think is where he spends the off season. But
that's good.
But yeah, no, in all seriousness, I mean he's got Decker on the other side. So I mean I think he's gonna flourish. He's gonna do a lot better, than he did last year, as long as the quarterback has, a brain. But Brandon Marshall, what is he, 31 years old? I still think there's a little bit in the tank. I mean, yeah, he comes with a little baggage, but he's like, I haven't seen a more consistently productive receiver like him before, really. I mean, like, yeah, you want to talk about Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, like guys like that, but I mean, like in modern era, like
right.
I haven't seen a guy post the kinds of numbers that he has.
No, and just his like physical presence that he brings, like he's able to like box out guys, and then the yards after catch, like he does not go down on the first hit. So it's just like a receiver that we've never had before. And I just, like you alluded to, is like he's going to be 31 years old. Is health a concern? Because last year we saw him banged up. He was under 1,000 yards for, I think, the second time in his career outside his rookie season, or one other season. So I'm definitely excited for the acquisition. And then to caveat that, it's just, is he coming in with a fresh perspective, a fresh slate? Because he's had a history of, disrupting locker rooms. So it should be a good fit, and it's low risk. I think that's like the biggest takeaway, is that like the Jets didn't give a first round pick or ship someone on their defense to get a playmaker on the outside. So it's a 1-year experiment. We're not handcuffed to the guy for a long duration. So if he could come in, be effective specifically in the red zone, I think like that's where we need him to showcase his talents the most, is just getting us touchdowns inside the red zone, because we've seen it so many times. The Jets are just plagued by an inept red zone offense. They can't find ways to cross the goal line. Nick Folk trot him out there 3 to 5 times a game. Like, if Marshall can go up and get some touchdowns for us, I think that would be his best contribution. We don't need him to be that like 100 reception guy, 1,500 yards. Like, that's just not who he is in this point in his career. But when we signed Plexico Burris that one year, I think he had close to 10 touchdowns. So
damn, man, you stole my thunder. That's right. That's where I was gonna go. That was the last time the Jets were a good red zone team. I think they were like in the top 5 in red zone conversion, percentage, based on touchdowns that season. So when was that? 2011?
Something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, we're not talking about like decades ago, but the past 2-3 years they've been in the bottom end of the barrel. I mean, like it's not even close. Like.
Right.
I mean, look at the Patriots Thursday game, just for example. Nick Folk had like 6 field goals, or 6 field goal attempts. Oh my God, yeah. I'm sick of it. Like it's just too much, man. Like,
no, I love Folk, but I like touchdowns more. So
no, of course. I mean, he's one of the better kickers, more accurate kickers in the league. I feel, and it's not a biased opinion. Just look it up, but.
Right. And we talked about it before. Like Marshall, he's going to have an incentive at practice every day going up against Darrelle Revis. That level of competition, like throughout practice, is going to help them come game day. So
yeah, they're both known as like hardcore, practice ethics and everything like that.
Marshall historically has like beat Revis pretty good too.
Yeah, so that definitely dude, Hard Knocks this year.
I wish, dude. I really do.
I can't see Bowles or McCagnon approving that. I don't know.
Who knows, man? Woody's a changed guy. He had a New Year's resolution, and it was to finally stop being cheap.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because this was the first offseason that I can remember where the Jets just went on a spending spree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope it pays dividends. Like, I really do. Like, I mean, sorry to get off topic here, but it's just, again, to resurface how much like of a changing of the guard this is in terms of how the Jets, what they do in the offseason. Like, this is just the first time where I'm like, wow, like they're really trying to go all the way for once.
Yeah, like I said, and I foresee these moves. I said it before, being around for about 2 to 3 years. I think they do have the life expectancy of that. I don't think it's like a 1 year, but I think they're going to go hard. They're going to try and get to the Super Bowl this year. I don't think it's going to happen, but, they're going to try. But before we move on, I just wanted to bring up one thing, too. I saw it on Instagram the other day because I immediately followed Brandon Marshall. He posted a video of him and Gino having, like, a catch in Florida or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, going back to the conversation before about, who's going to be the quarterback, and then obviously bringing in the conversation now with Brandon Marshall, maybe making potential noise in the locker room. I wonder how he, I don't see him in wherever the hell Ryan Fitzpatrick's from having catches with him, So I wonder how vocal or not he's going to be in the locker room if in training camp, Fitzpatrick's anointed the starter. It's just one of those things. You're just gonna have to see how it plays out. But
yeah, but I also read that like Marshall just has so much respect for Bowles. So like, I don't think he's going to do that, depending on who they choose. So it's like, I don't know. It's just a history of what he's done though. Like Jay Cutler and whoever else was in Miami, I forget, like the quarterback Tannehill maybe, but like we definitely need him to come in and not make it about himself.
Agreed. And I mean, that's what he should do as a wide receiver. I mean, you're getting thrown the ball from one guy or another. So I mean, like you gotta, it sucks, but you gotta take personal feelings aside and just play football. Fitzpatrick's probably gonna throw the ball better to you anyway than Gino would. So,
and that's why I was happy that they let Percy Harvin go. Like, could you imagine if it was like Percy, Decker, Marshall, like all these guys would be like, where's my, like, how come I'm not getting targeted,
Right.
Like
Just
So
bring back Tone Time too. I think I had a dream. Like I swear to God, now that I just said his name, I think I had a dream that like the Jets signed him to like a 1 year deal or something. Worst nightmare ever.
no, I don't even, dude. I think he's like, yeah, the Bears cut him like mid-season, and then he's just, I don't know,
Yeah, just
not
hanging out.
hanging out playing Nintendo.
I think I told you this because it was about right when I started working with you, but I just gotten back from the Jets camp, and they were like these little kids. Like we were hanging out in a bar with all the Jets players up at Cortland in their training camp, and these like not little kids, but like maybe like 10 years old, 11, and they have like football signed by all the players, and players are going into the bars, like whatever. The kids have the Sharpies, and people were like, "Oh, Santonio, Santonio, can I have your autograph or whatever?" He's like, "Nah, man, I'm out." Like he wouldn't take the 4 seconds it takes to sign his name on a football to like a kid that like idolizes him, probably has his jersey and like all this stuff. Oh man, that just like, it rubbed me the wrong way. Like some of those guys, man, like they need to be like just punched in the face, like
I know.
just point blank.
Well, it's a good thing we made him the captain the year that he. I think he just like that last Miami game. He
Yeah,
just
he
like
just
went to the bench and just took a seat.
yep, and that was the end of the captaincy on the Jets. I wonder if that'll come back this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure it's got to be Mr. Manhattan, Darrell Revis.
Yeah, him, Mangold, maybe Folk Hero, Nick
Let's hope,
Bel-
let's
Nick
hope not. I'm
Nick
tired of seeing
Belore.
Nick Ballore, special teams ace.
Yep. Oh God, just talking about some of the gems that we still have.
Yep.
Well, speaking of gems that we still have, thanks to re-signing them, looks like we're holding on to. We brought up before David Harris and Bilal Powell. Um, I feel good about these moves just simply because it's familiar faces. Do I think Harris's play has declined over the past few years? Yes, but I definitely think he's a lot better than most linebackers in the league. Like I'd put him as like maybe the 15th best starting middle linebacker in the league. Like middle of the crop. I mean, they're throwing a lot of money at him. I think 16 of it is guaranteed out of 3 years. It's like a 21 or 20 something $1 million contract, and then Powell is just like a 1 year $2 million, $2 million. So there's not a lot of money or time invested in him. So I'm just curious to how you feel about both of these, and if they were, I guess, the right moves to make, or if they should have brought in new faces to the team along with the regime.
Yeah, I don't know. David Harris, he's been a good Jet for a long time, and as you pointed out, his play definitely declined this past season. And there was talk of him possibly joining Buffalo, and it made it even more apparent that that was probable or plausible because of the Kiko Alonso for LaShawn McCoy trade. So I think the fact that he didn't land in Buffalo is good for us. I think this was more of like a quarterback of the defense move, not necessarily production, but just like the institutional knowledge that he has about the team, and just he's just a great guy that has camaraderie with a lot of those players on the defensive line. So I think it was a good move, and Mike McCagnon, again, not going to pronunciate this ever. I think he did it for the right reasons, just to put Jets players on the current roster at ease. So I think they could have had like a definitely a negative effect on the team, just seeing a veteran head up to Buffalo.
And Powell.
Powell, yeah, I mean, there was definitely speculation that he was going to land a bigger deal and probably have a bigger role. So I don't know. Like the Jets still need another home run threat. I think what Powell was subjected to last year was seeing the sideline because we had CJ 2 point nothing K. So I think hopefully this year we get him more involved, bring him in on third down, and hopefully he can complement Chris Ivory, and then whoever we pick up throughout the draft. I think that's still like an area of improvement. And I actually saw a couple mock drafts which have the Jets taking Todd Gurley, the
I
Georgia running back who tore his ACL with the 6th overall pick. I don't
I
know how
saw
I don't know how believable that is, but
I,
um,
I saw that too. I mean, the only way I would foresee that occurring is if they were to trade down, in the middle of the first round, somewhere between that 15 to 22.
yeah,
I could see them maybe doing that. But yeah, I saw that too and I laughed. I was just like, why would they do that? Like, yeah, you could get an explosive powerhouse, running back or whatever, but just a total workhorse. But you could also get a guy that is coming off a major injury, and who knows, like maybe he does that again and his career is over. So do you
yeah,
really want to mess with that pick?
yeah. You could get a guy like Trent Richardson,
Yeah,
so
that worked out well.
who ended up in Oakland today, so his career is essentially over.
Into the black hole of the NFL.
That's pretty much where you go to die.
Al Davis is just in his grave right now, just like holding his thumbs up, like good acquisition.
God.
But yeah, I mean, we were joking around too about Powell when he was still a free agent. I mean, there were ties of him going to Buffalo as well, and then there were also ties to him possibly going to New England. I had read, so it was just like one of those almost certainties that you thought like, all right, he'll sign with the Patriots and he'll be the new Vereen and just haunt us forever.
Right, that's what I was like saying is like I think these signings were like defensive signings, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
where the Jets were actually not bidding against anyone, they were just bidding against themselves.
Yeah, I can see that entirely. I mean,
And
and it seems like like I said, Powell is one thing. There's not a lot of money invested with him, but Harris, on the other hand, like yeah, they probably broke the bank a little bit because he probably was close to signing with Buffalo. Rex probably you know talked in his ear a little bit, like hey, like I really want you here, and he might have wanted to go too, but the dollar speaks.
indeed,
So, I mean, yeah, those are just a couple of guys that, like I said, just familiar faces. You know what they bring. Harris will definitely be on a little bit more of a decline as each year goes by. But, I like Powell. I mean, he's definitely very versatile, very underrated. I mean, he was leading the NFL in rushing, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago throughout, like, the first. I mean, granted, it was only like the first, like, 6 or 7 weeks of the season, but he had a couple of big games. One against Buffalo, he rushed for like almost 150 yards or something like that, and it was great out of the backfield. Catching those short little dunk passes, and yeah, I mean, I like a three-headed monster though. I would like to see them get another running back somewhere, whether that be in the draft or just the latter part of free agency,
right.
just to secure that.
And
So.
dude, speaking about running backs, this is gonna go a little on a tangent, but like we talked a couple episodes about the running back position diminishing.
Mhm.
This offseason, guys are cashing in. It's unbelievable. Like LaShawn McCoy is making $16 million a year. Now, DeMarco Murray fell into Chip Kelly's lap and he got a huge deal. So like I think we might be wrong in saying that the running back position is becoming devalued just based on what these guys are commanding this offseason. So
Yeah, I agree with you, but I disagree too because both of those guys are arguably the two best running backs in the entire league. So like, there's gonna be guys that get overpaid too. Like because at the end of the day, like, are these guys really worth that amount of money? Like, no, it's just like what the market dictates. So like, you
right,
know, just like Sue. So now Sue's getting paid like almost 20 million a year on average. Now Muhammad Wilkerson's going to want a deal that's like somewhere in that range too. So like each year, it's going to get bumped up a little bit more and a little bit more, like all the following years.
yep.
So it's so stupid. It really is. I mean, it's a waste of money, because these guys are going to get run down. I mean, DeMarco Murray is like almost 30, is he not?
I think he's a little bit younger than that, but he definitely has a lot of tread on those tires. I think he like in the past 2 years he's had like close to like 700 to 800 carries. So
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, he's 27. All right, so I was a few years off. I don't know why I thought he was so much older, but I mean, they signed him to like a 5-year deal. I mean, obviously NFL contracts are very strange and front loaded and non-guaranteed. Only the guaranteed money is guaranteed, obviously. So I don't know exactly how much money's tied to him, but I mean, it's definitely a lot more than most backs in the league. Definitely a lot more than Chris Ivory's making. I'll tell you that. Like, I feel like that guy's probably only making like 4 million a year or something like that. I mean, which is still a lot more money than I'm making, but um, yeah. So whatever. I mean, like I said, bringing this back in the direction of the Jets, I definitely I like the consistency that they're going with here, but I definitely want to see them get that home run threat as well.
Yep.
And then quickly, let's just touch on the moves that they made on the offensive line. Obviously, we're going to have DeBrickashaw and Mangold there, but there were kind of question marks. All the other positions, the two positions at guard, and then even Giacomini. Like, I feel like his job's not entirely safe. But what they did was they re-signed Big Willie style. They got James Carpenter, who was a former first-round pick from Seattle, I think in 2011, and he started the past 2 seasons, that Seattle's made their runs. And I think that's all they did. Yeah, so yeah, that's all they did so far to address the issues on the O-line. So I mean, I'm fully expecting them to address this position, down the line in free agency or in the draft. But I would have liked to have seen them get one of those, high-profile names. Although that doesn't necessarily always translate to, success and everything like that. I don't know. It would have made me feel a little bit better to get like an Iupati or somebody like that. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely like a guy that we were heavily linked to throughout free agency, and the fact that we missed on him and Orlando Franklin. I guess Carpenter was like their third choice, so I don't really know much about him, but the fact that he had blocked for Marshawn Lynch, and we've obviously seen his production over the past 2 years. I guess I don't know much about him, but coming from that team, you got to figure that he's got a pretty good level of play. So
Yeah. How do you feel though that here comes another year that we're just hanging our hat on Mangold and DeBrickashaw. So I mean these guys are getting up there now. They've shown to be very healthy and consistent throughout their careers. I know Mangold got banged up a little bit at the end of last season, but Brick's been pretty solid, and Mangold, like I said, despite a few nicks and knacks here and there. But I mean, these guys can't be the strength of the line for much longer. They're going to have to start, getting some younger talent in here and really developing because, otherwise they're just going to get eaten alive, especially in the division. You got Sue there, and, it's not going to be good.
for sure, it's definitely something that we have to bolster in the draft. They were part of the original like core four when we passed on a Broadway Matt Leinart back in like 2004, I want to say. God, 10, 15, or 11 years ago. Jesus. So yeah, these guys have been, perennial Pro Bowlers, but as you pointed out, their production is declining. So that will certainly be a position that we have to look to in the draft.
Yeah, and I mean that's part of the reason, and I mean we'll definitely touch base on this more as the draft comes closer. But that's part of the reason why I would love to see them trade that sixth pick. Unless they're 100% certain that like, hey, we're gonna get this guy and he's gonna do this for us. We're gonna get Mariota and we're gonna groom him to be our starter. We're gonna get, Dante Fowler or whatever his name is from Florida. Unless they do something like that and they have like a clear, concise plan, I would love to see them get a few more picks out of it. But yeah, they definitely have to draft some O-line personnel. I mean, look at some of the blunders within the recent history. Like Brian Winters hasn't really panned out, and he just tore his ACL last year. Vlad Dukas, who now I just saw signed a deal with the Bears the other
Second
day.
second round pick, Vlad Dukas, big ugly.
Yep. Dude, he won the first and second place of Big Ugly. Or second and third place. And then, like, some other guy who's, like, actually wasn't really, like, a physically ugly person won first, I think, just because the guys didn't really like him. I think his name was, like, Brian Williams or something. He was, like, a safety. But, yeah, Big Vlad won second and third place of Big Ugly.
Well, he won last in being a good offensive lineman for us.
Oh, God. Big Vlad.
Him and Wayne Hunter.
Pro Bowl caliber lineman. God.
Yeah. I mean, I think you point out, we have to look at this in the draft, and if we don't have a plan with that sixth pick, the Jets aren't really tipping their hand right now. So I think as we get into April, we'll probably hear more rumblings of what they're potentially going to do. I mean, if we look at what they did in the offseason, obviously the secondary is not going to be where the direction they're going. Is quarterback in play? I don't know. And then you got two really talented wide receivers in Amari Cooper and Kevin White out of West Virginia. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And if there's a team that's willing to give them some, second, third round draft picks in this upcoming year, we'll have to just see who else, is on the board. And, that's definitely an area where we'll need to have an investment over the next couple seasons.
We'll look forward to that, Greg. So, looking ahead, I mean, obviously we're literally like a week, actually, like I said, literally a week into the 2015 season, because the start of free agency last Tuesday was the actual start of the season. Like, where do you think this team this season ends up? Like, can they be contenders for the AFC East title? If so, how far in the playoffs do you think they get? I mean, I'll spit out my predictions, although, I mean, the schedule's not out, the draft's not here, all that great stuff is still yet to come. But I still look at this team, I don't know, like, I guess I don't know if it hasn't set in my mind yet, like the defense that we have and the potential of that defense. But I don't know. Like,
it's like it's awesome on paper, right? Like that's
right.
what we're like looking at right now. So it's like until we see this team like in preseason or even in the mini camps about like how they're practicing, whatever, like we're not gonna know. So like it's really hard to make a judgment. With that said, like I think like we opened up with, we couldn't have asked for a better offseason. I give Mikey Mack an A+ effort. I really do.
Spending Idzik's money that he saved, that he just like kept in his pockets for 2 years straight. And the funny thing with that is, too, like, this could have been all a part of his plan. Like, maybe Idzik knew all this stuff. Like, maybe he was just like, oh, we have to spend our money in 2015 and 2016, or else it gets reallocated to players that are currently under contract. I don't know why I'm giving him this, like, weird accent, but it just sounds appropriate. But, maybe he was just like that, yeah. And then, in 2015, we're going to have to spend $60 million. In 2016, we're going to have to spend another $60 million, so...
Well, I don't think like Woody Johnson ever anticipated like the Jets fan base putting up billboards along the Jersey Turnpike and like flying airplanes over their practice facility. So like I'm sure like that bubble or whatever you want to call it like burst right in his face and was like there was no way we were going to be able to retain him. So like yeah, he was a cap-driven guy, and you're right, he probably did have a long-term plan. So Mikey Mack's the sole benefactor of that.
He's the real MVP.
What did I say? Benefactor? Factor?
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to look that up.
It sounds like it could be. I don't really know.
Yeah, it is one.
Benefactor. Yeah. That's why I mean I didn't really even think twice about it until you brought up your suspicions on if the word was real or not.
I have that tendency to just create words and then I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I do that a lot, too. I definitely always preface it with, I don't know if this is a word, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Let's just get like really like silly right now, just to finish this off, because we like to laugh and create all these stupid hypotheticals that make usually zero sense and then are not possible at all. But like, where do you think we're going here? Like, as far as this podcast is concerned, like, get some like live celeb guests, maybe like under like a little tent in front of MetLife, just live casting like pre and post game, going into the game and then just like spitting out like all this fire afterwards, like Jets win 35-3, Geno 5 touchdowns, all to Decker, Revis 5 picks. Like where are we going like right now? I mean, like, to give our listeners a little bit of background, we are going to be partial season ticket holders this year, which is like such great news to me. Like I've wanted to have season tickets to either the Jets or the Yankees for like years of my life, and just to be able to do that now is like a dream come true.
Yeah, man, you highlight a very utopian world that we hope to live in, with Geno throwing 5 touchdowns and the Jets winning by 32 points. I don't really see
that, man.
But yeah, dude, no, just super excited for the season. Obviously, we're gonna be there in person for 50% of the home games, so the future of the cast is looking well, because we're gonna get to see this ship sink or swim. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I just pulled up the 2015 New York Jet opponents, home and away. You want me to go through it?
Go.
So we got Buffalo, Miami, New England, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Philly, Washington, Cleveland at home. And then our away games: Buffalo, New England, Houston, Indy, Dallas, Giants, Oakland, and then one game in London against Miami. So it's a little bit soft. I mean, Indy, Dallas,
Houston. Do we dare go through predictions right now without the schedule? Can we do that?
Can we do that it's still March, right? March 17th?
Let's do it. Let's just do it for fun, and we'll wrap up with that. So let's just start with the division first. Do we split the division? Like, do we go 3-3?
We definitely can. I think we definitely can. Yeah, let's just say 3-3.
All right, I'll write that down. 3-3. So then Jacksonville, that's got to be a win, right?
Has to be a win. If
Tennessee.
If you can't beat Jacksonville, then your season should just end automatically.
Tennessee, that's got to be a win, right?
Yeah, well, we were able to beat them this year, so.
16-11, only NFL game. Houston, do we lose that? I feel like we could squeak that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to leave that one blank for now. Indy, I feel like it's automatic loss.
probably. Yeah, that's a way. Definitely a loss.
Cleveland should be a win, right?
Yeah, let's call that a win.
Oakland, Oakland?
Definitely a win.
Wow, maybe we'll be there too. Philly.
Let's say we take down Sanchez and DeMarco Murray.
Redskins.
Revis pick 6 to the house on Sanchez.
Oh, just a crushing blow to the Sanch. Redskins got to be a win, right?
Definitely.
Dallas probably loss.
Oh, and we got the Giants away.
Oh, damn. We're going to have to StubHub that. Go to that one.
God, the amount of families and fights that are going to break out. Christ.
I don't know where to go with this one.
It's definitely a win. Let's be serious. We own them in the preseason, so that probably translates to the regular season, right?
Yeah, probably. So right now we're at 10-5 with that Houston game toss-up. So even with a loss, that would put us at 10-6. So you're looking at like 11-5 or 10-6, which would definitely get you into the playoffs. What did we say last year? 9-7, both of us.
Yeah, that worked out well.
4-12. That was close.
That worked out really well.
5 games off. Well, we'll continue our daydreaming as soon as we conclude this. But Mike, as always, this is fun. Just talking about the team that we love and hate at the same time. And as usual, just wanted to thank everybody for taking some time out of your day to listen. As always, we really do appreciate it. And any feedback, whether it's negative or positive, we definitely appreciate as well. So don't be afraid to reach out and definitely ask us questions and pose us topics as well. Like if you guys want to hear about some stuff that's not particularly centered around the Jets, like we're obviously always welcome, in doing so. We've had some episodes in the past where we talk about much lighter things, more fun things like snow days and all that kind of stupid stuff. So we're definitely open to doing stuff like that. So Mike, if you got nothing else, I'm ready to hit stop broadcast.
Yeah, dude, it's time to start looking deep into the draft now and start following my Mel Kiper, gossip and Todd McShay, and just see what the Jets' plans are. It's definitely a question mark right now, like quarterback or defensive end. So we still have a little bit of free agency to go, and so far it's off to a pretty good start. So I'm pretty happy with the direction of the team. So
absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Same goes for me to eliminate me choking on any more words that I have already tonight. So again, thanks everyone, and Mike, we'll brainstorm for an episode within the next week or so.
sounds good.
All right, man. Later.
Later.